Okay. All right. So some announcements before we start. Um, on your Laulima, there is some sort of participation verification. So be sure to mark that. Um, it's some sort of federal law thing for something to verify that people attending class. So it's on your Laulima. We might be able to go through that. We might be able to see it today, but if not, then please be sure to do it. It's almost like an assignment, but it's its own tab. So there's that. And I noticed some of you went ahead and started voting for an earlier time for May 27th. But I made a oopsies. I forgot. I actually put in options for May 13th. So that might have caused some confusion. I fixed that. So if you voted early, please do re-vote for May 27th. If there's no questions, comments, or concerns about that, I'm gonna start our discussion here. Okay. And if anyone noticed something in the chat that I might be missed, just holler out. Okay, so today we're gonna go through our course website, syllabus, talk about project and assignments, and a little bit about development environment. So in case you don't have the link, I'm going to post it in general chat right now. Okay, so I'm going to start out with some philosophies for this course. So this course is meant for it to be a guide to help students find their way to building their own web application that is live and accessible. And so this course, sorry, I hear a lot of noise. Is that me or something with Discord? Does anyone happen to know? Oh, okay. No worries. I was just wondering if I'm doing something wrong here. But okay. And anytime you can let me know if there's something distracting that I can help fix. So this course will kind of go through the basic usages of some tools to help the student develop their own web application. We don't really go in depth. We kind of touch on a range of things, but at a very surface level. Okay, so it is intended to use project management ideas from the industry, tailored for the classroom setting. So my background is I work in industry. I just kind of teach this class over the summer, and so I'm not really a professor. I'm just a lecturer, and then so I like to take project management techniques from industry and then just try to apply it to a classroom setting. So hopefully that explains why we're doing it that way. So I'm going to play the role of more of like the product owner and user, and you all are the software team, and you will be playing project manager / developer. And this course is aiming to kind of give you experience to build a product so that you can talk about during your interviews. Trying to put you in a team environment if you choose so that you can gain the experience of working with others in a pseudo team project. So when I was in college, I didn't have too many projects to talk about. So this is my chance to kind of help fix that wrong in a way. So that is an intent. So having been in the industry for a while, there's some things in academia that I wish were different. So I'm going to try to kind of move this course closer to the real world, where no one has any answers, and we're all just trying to figure out things together. It'll be more of a guiding than a teaching kind of a philosophy. And then lastly, be empathetic to your fellow classmates. Jeff Bezos, the former CEO of Amazon, said it is harder to be kind than clever. So just aim for kindness, because I've seen situations where some people would have liked software, but because of certain incidents of unkindness, they kind of deviated from going towards their passion in software, and I thought that was really unfortunate. So here, I want to point out some things about the website. A lot of times I just link out to, if you wanted to kind of have more an idea. So it links to Brene Brown's short clip on empathy. And this is supposed to be Jeff Bezos' graduation speech where that quote came from after this ad is done playing. So I linked to a lot of things that's on the internet because I can't create everything myself, but I've gathered and accumulated all these things to kind of help guide you in this journey. So if there's any questions, comments, concerns about that, we can pause here. If not, I'm going to move on to the next section for the logistics. Alrighty. Okay, so this website here is essentially the entire course. It'll guide us through all the topics we're shooting to go over in this summer term. And that's the link to it, which is also pasted in a bunch of places, including the general chat channel. And our course calendar can be found through this website. Here is the tentative topics of each day, as well as the meeting times. And there's a vote. I'll post some polls out to change the Friday meeting times earlier, just so we all can start off Friday earlier if can. But I do need everyone to agree on a time before I can actually change it. So there's the calendar, and depending how we progress, I might shift these topics to the right. And if you want to subscribe to the calendar, say on your iPhone or something, there's that link. So as you're experiencing now, everything will be virtual on this Discord. I used to have it on Slack and Google Hangouts, and then also using groups.io mailing lists. But I think the students had preferred just using Discord, so I kind of migrated everything to Discord, for better or for worse. So kind of let me know if Discord works for you, or if you think there's a better medium. I might not do it this term, but maybe for the next term semester. It'll benefit the students of the next term. Okay, so the meeting times are here. If we do change it, I'll change the calendar accordingly. And I'll also try to post it to the announcements in the Discord. Again, everything is available on the internet. We're not doing anything proprietary. We're not going to use any tools that you have to pay for. So everything's freely available on the internet. We'll use these Discord channels. Just any help, just post to the help channel. Questions, comments, and concerns, maybe try to use general, and I'll post any announcements to the announcement channel. And I'm pretty sure you all are more comfortable with Discord than I am, but if you're not, please get comfortable with it. So everything on Discord is public. So if you have concerns about privacy, please feel free to use a fake email address if you choose. And if you need real-time collaboration, there are voice channels that you can collaborate with your teammates on. But please note that if there's a lot of chatter, questions can be lost. So if I miss one, please follow up with a direct message and maybe a link to your question that's not addressed, and I'll try to address that. And here's the link to register for Discord, which I'm assuming everyone has done. Sorry, did I get lost? Hello? Okay, thanks. I guess that's my internet. Let me. All right, thanks. What about now? Can you see? Awesome. Thanks for catching that. I've been in a meeting where I was just talking to myself the whole time. So any feedback on what you're actually seeing or can't see would be just tremendously helpful. Okay. All right. So if you need assistance with your code, VS Code has this feature called Live Share, and it'll allow us to kind of collaboratively work on the code on your machine. So have that ready if you can. This class doesn't require you to use VS Code as an editor, but VS Code does have this live share that not all editors have. So I would recommend to use VS Code if you don't have any strong preferences for any other code editors. Confidential matters, please just let me know via Laulima or email. Don't post it on chat. And then office hours, we can do it immediately after class or by appointment. I prefer to just do it through Discord if possible. And if not, if face-to-face is better, we can definitely arrange something. Okay? All the videos, including the one I'm recording now, I'm going to try post to this YouTube channel here. So here is the last summer's videos. So I might have explained something differently. If there's something that you want more information on, you can feel free to go there. But for this semester, I think mostly you'll just be on this playlist, and then I'll add another playlist for the actual live lectures or meeting recordings. So hopefully that will be helpful. Supplemental materials. So this will link to a Google Drive that your UH account has. So whatever files related to this semester will be at that link. There. And then this link will take you to information that we might go over, like these Jamboards. When you watch the videos, it might be referencing a Jamboard, so those would be there. Okay. And lastly, I want to iterate that everything is free. You should not need to pay for anything. I would hate for you to pay for anything because I can't really reimburse you. So please don't pay for anything. All right. So any questions, comments, concerns about the logistics? Okay. So on to the resources section. I'm assuming everyone has internet access. That's what you're able to get on Discord now. And hopefully your laptop's able to support a development environment where we can actually use to write code. All of the essential materials is provided by this website, either directly or indirectly through the links we've talked about. Every tool and service is free. Don't sign up for any paid plans. You don't need them. And every tool and service that we use has online documentation and their own support team. So please take advantage of those if you run into any issues. But definitely, me and your other classmates are here to help. And then all of the concepts and technologies in this class are open source, so they're freely available on the internet. Not like MATLAB where you have to pay. So that means there's a lot of internet resources to help new users, and you're not the first one to start learning these tools. You're not going to be the last ones. So there's a lot of articles on Google and a lot of questions and answers on Stack Overflow, and even forums and chat rooms that can help you out. So feel free to use those. It's not like it's a closed book thing. In industry, we Google everything. There is no book that we can reference that knows everything. And even these books, we might buy something from O'Reilly, from bookstore, they get outdated. So I feel the internet's a wealth of knowledge that we should promote using in academia. So much so, there's an article that jokes about changing computer science to naming like Googling. What's the exact term? Googling Stack Overflow. That article has since been taken off, but this tweet kind of references it. Okay, if there's no questions, comments, concerns about resources, I'm going to go over to grading. Okay. Nah. Yeah, I wouldn't require it. Because there's so much. What I would do if I was in a real project and say there's this bit of code that was complex and I referenced an article, I would write a comment and link to it to help the next person say, oh, this is where I read this article and came up with this like kind of non-intuitive solution. So if you want to understand it, you can reference that. But if it wouldn't be for credit, it would be just kind of like sharing the knowledge in a sense. Thanks for clarifying that. Yeah, we're not an English class, so no need to be particular about referencing. But good question, thank you. So grading. Any other questions, follow-ups? Cool. So grading, the class is broken up into really two main I guess groups: exercises and projects. So exercises is kind of where you learn. So I'm a huge believer that you learn from your failures. No one's expected to do all the exercises correctly without any help. So sometimes I'll just, if there's something that I really want you to learn, I'll kick it back to you, have you fix it, and then resubmit it as part of the learning process. I do this with my teammates all the time. If we're working on a project, I can't just say, oh, that sucks, you get an F. We need the project to finish, so I need to transfer the knowledge. So there's always feedback, and that's what I'm going to try to do with these exercises. So nothing really, sorry, I shouldn't say the term it sucks. It's just, it could be better. Everything could, if there's someone might know a way to do it better, and to kind of communicate that and spread that knowledge is the intent. So understand we're all beginners, so I'm not expecting perfection. Communicate your progress. A lot of times in academia, we try to hide our problems and just turn it in and try to get that good grade. But in real life, I think transparency into your work is very important. You can give other people who might have insight into your problems and be able to kind of like help you along, point you in the right direction. So communication, transparency, academia always kind of rewards the student that works alone and just turn it in by the deadline with expecting no help from others, but that's never the case in the real world. Nothing is ever smooth. There's always some hiccup, and it might not be technical. It might just be something administrative, right? Something political. So it's always good to kind of update your team on your progress. So, and me, if someone's not bringing up issues, that actually worries me more, because I don't have a sense of where they're at. So just over communicate, err on the side of over communication. I think that just gives me the warm and fuzzy. And again, there's no judgment. So that was my bad on using the term suck at first. Just everything is an opportunity to learn. So yeah, so no judgment. It's just emphasizing helping each other and growing together. So that's what we want to do, and leverage each team member's unique skills and gifts. So definitely leverage each other. If someone solves something here, you feel free to share with your students, because a lot of the examples I've made was last year or even years before that. So it could have been outdated. The new version might have a bug. So that kind of stuff, I don't intend for everyone to, there's no value in learning it or overcoming that kind of bug. The value is learning the bigger concepts, the general ideas for me. So all those little details, the nuances of software development, feel free to collaboratively solve that. If someone solved, a bug that was introduced in a later version, feel free to share it. I don't care. Like, I actually think that's better. So be proactive. Of course, there's many ways to solving the same problem. Just reach out when you're stuck so that you can continue making progress. My goal is for you to learn the big concepts. All those little details that trip you up, I hope that you solve them and then it helps your understanding, but I don't want you to be stuck. No one gains, there's no value gain when you're stuck. So a lot of times, what differentiates a junior team member from a senior developer is they know when to give up and ask for help. So my rule of thumb when starting out is just err on the side of asking too many questions, instead of banging your head on a problem for days and trying to solve it yourself. Okay. There is this quote I like. I'm gonna try to squeeze it into this scenario. It's grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, and courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. So, if you're able to solve the problem by yourself, great. Go for it. Tackle something new. But also understand that it's not meant to be easy. So you're gonna encounter things that are hard. So accept that there are hard things that you might not be able to solve yourself. And then having the wisdom to know the difference of when to kind of like keep on checking at it, and knowing when to kind of give up and ask for help. That's where wisdom comes in. And as you do more with software, you'll find that balance. And for now, please err on the side of asking for questions, and then I can always point you in the right direction, or like maybe gently ask you to try this or try that. Maybe ask also what you tried to kind of help me tailor my response back. in terms of how to guide you to find the answer. Okay, the last thing, so that's the exercises, and that's the intent of those exercises, is to learn. And then the 80% of your grade is this project. So the sole purpose of this class is to get you to the point to be able to do this project and submit something. You notice, and that's how it's been weighted. So these exercises, really treat them as a way to learn, level up on your skills, and then be able to use those skills to build your project. So pragmatically, every company, they need to deliver and ship a product. If they don't, they're out of business. So the whole goal of this course, this class, is for you to ship that project. So there's going to be a need to balance, to find that balance between learning and delivering when you work on a project, especially a project with new technology. And I hope you'll find that balance. And that skill, I don't think is quite developed in academia. And hopefully this will be one step in that direction. So some things I've seen that keeps a project from succeeding is when you try to over-engineer, or they call it gold plating sometimes. And that's like over-designing, making it better than it needs to be. So I have a bunch of minimum requirements. Just go for the minimum, get that through the door, and then you can improve on it. Don't try to go like super crazy and then not be able to deliver and ship the project. Okay, so please keep that in mind. Everything is calculated by Laulima, and this is the threshold. So 90 is an A or better, 80 you'll get at least a B or better, 70 is you'll get a C or better, and 60 you'll get a D or better. And all that weighting and calculating will be done in Laulima, and I'll adjust the plus and minus boundaries, but in terms of the straight A and straight B, those are set. And I won't do any decimal points, I'll just do whole numbers. Okay, questions, comments, concerns about that before we move on to what's the next, how the course is laid out. Awesome. Okay, so again, the exercises is the learning part, where we'll introduce new material and the students will practice it in the exercise assignments. And then the next phase will be the project, where you apply everything you learn and to build that project, and it turns into more of a hackathon, where we're just going to help you build that project. So in the calendar, these first few weeks will be the learning, and then these last few weeks here will be kind of like where you spend time with the project, and we'll spend class time to help you go over any issues you might encounter. And that's kind of like the general progression of the class. During the learning and exercise phase, I want to blend in some project management ideas from Agile, Scrum, Extreme Programming into this academia setting. So it's a bit foreign, and I don't know if you do it in your other classes, but try to just keep an open mind. So each meeting we'll do a stand-up. So every student will kind of give a brief update on the progress, and these are the questions that you answered, like what did you accomplish yesterday, what do you plan to accomplish today, and are there any questions, concerns, anything blocking you from progressing? So in industry, teams do this to kind of like see if anyone needs help, and it works at work. I'm hoping it'll work in this classroom setting. I did like it last semester, and hopefully it continues that way. So the main focus is just to communicate questions, concerns, or any potential blockers that maybe is an easy fix for us, and we can tackle it. Maybe it's a common problem that other people in this class might have. You're all learning the same thing, so I would think you encounter the same problems, right? So we'll quickly triage and decide, and it's either going to be an issue that we can address after stand-up when everyone has a chance to bring up their blockers, and then we can kind of like prioritize which one's easier and quick. And then if it's too hard, maybe we'll push it to after the class meeting time so that other people who aren't interested in the problem can go get on with their evening. So similar at work, these stand-ups aren't meant to be long. They'll be quick at the start of the day usually, and people that can help someone with the problem will stay at the stand-up or after the stand-up, and those that don't, are foreign to the idea and won't benefit from the discussion will go off and do their own task. So that's something we're gonna try to squeeze into this classroom setting. Then there are assignments, and all the assignments are in Laulima. So you should have access to Laulima. Most of you have already seen it, so I'm just gonna show it here. So in here, okay, you should see something close to this. So it's laulima.hawaii.edu. Here's the class website and Discord. So in your assignments, everything's kind of laid out, and the due dates are all kind of, the due dates are all there. Yeah, that's odd. So how I've done it is I made everything in the week due by the end of the weekend. I'm not sure, everyone has different schedules. Some people work, so hopefully you'll at least have the weekend to kind of spend some time on it. And you also had the week. Last term I made it 2 weekends, but it kind of backfired. I think people started just procrastinating. So I'm going to try just 1 weekend this term and see how that goes. Okay, so what your assignments will look like is it'll list out things that you need to do. I try to be as clear as possible, but if things are unclear, please let me know. And maybe you can just submit like, oh, voted or completed, or if it's coding related, you'll probably provide a link to your code. So here, this is the one that I goofed on earlier, I was mentioning. If you can re-vote on this one, I entered in the wrong date. So once you're all done with each line item, you can just say complete and then submit it, and I should see it. And those are all the logistics. When you get to the actual technical topics, it'll be kind of like this with some reading and some videos that you can watch and reference. And depending how you learn, maybe reading it is easier than watching it. So this is kind of honor system. You can say you're done, but if you have to kind of learn it one way or the other. Just find the method that works for you, whether the video or the class website or the articles. Because when it's time to do the exercise, then it kind of reinforces what you read or watched in the previous assignment. So for this one, you actually have to submit code. So you'll submit a link and then submit that. So that's how the exercises are kind of assigned through Lalima. And their due dates, they're like close to midnight. So you have that entire day. Yeah. And everything's handled by Lalima. So I hope that works. Okay. So that's the assignments. We'll occasionally do retrospections. That's another agile Scrum thing. So I've tentatively scheduled it for the Fridays or the end of the week. So in software projects, we'll do a sprint where everyone has a task that's related to getting some sort of major feature working. And at the end of the sprint, the team will get together and discuss what went well, what could have been better, and what should we implement going forward. So similarly, this class is like what things are helping you learn and get to the end goal of building the project, what things are like could be improved on, and what should we implement going forward. So a lot of things such as making this cursor bigger. That was some feedback from last semester or last summer's retrospections, and I would have never have thought of it. But it, things like that, it is helpful. So it's similar to how at the end of every semester UH give you that survey, but you instead of like it benefiting the next class, if we do it kind of in during the term, I'm hoping that it can at least help us improve the class so that you can benefit during it. Okay, so the main focus is to improve this class, this team process, and implement it while you're still able to benefit from your suggestions. Okay, so this is a very agile Scrum thing, and if there's anything that you want to try out, happy to do so. All right, so that's the first phase. The next phase is the project, and again, it's more like a hackathon where we're just trying to get you to build your project. If you finish early, you don't even need to show up to class really, and everything's in Lalima. So if you want to, you can just blow through this list, submit your project, and you're done. So that's I have no problems doing that as well. Okay, so the requirements for the project. I guess before we go to the project, any questions about the first part here about learning and exercises? Questions, comments, concerns? Okay. All right, so the goal is for every student to kind of build a web application that interacts with data and is accessible by anyone on the internet. All these exercises, all the learning is aimed towards you deploying your project onto the World Wide Web. So you can build this project for anything you're interested in. If you like plants, you can do a project on plants, a web app on plants, whatever you want. So it's always cool to see what ideas students come up with. So the only requirement is kind of it needs to be accessible on the internet. Any user with a browser can access it. That's usually the easiest. It should be dynamic and not static. Like this site is static. Anytime these words change, I need to kind of manually update the hard-coded HTML. But your project can update without changing the code. Okay, so it needs data. So web applications fit these requirements fairly well, but if you have a project that you really want to build, that kind of almost fits these criteria, feel free to bring it up. I'm happy to accommodate, something you're passionate about. So how the project is created. Let's see. Let's go back to our calendar. So at the start of this project phase, you'll kind of form your teams. You could build a project on your own if you want. I know some people work and it's hard to do things as a team, so that's an option. But before you start, please discuss your architecture. If it's super different from what we go over in class, I've had teams kind of implement a architecture that's kind of borderline difficult to implement in 3 weeks. So, I don't want you not completing your project because, you bit off more than you can chew. So please discuss your architecture before you start with me if it deviates a lot from what we discussed in class. I mean, I'm glad to support it, but maybe after the class, right? I can help you with it, but I do want you to get that A. So please just do the minimum, get that done, and we can always make it more complex later. So there is a mid-project review. In industry, there's checkpoints, right? We don't just deliver everything at the last day and call it done or make or break the project. There's checkpoints in between, and we'll try to do the same thing. So in the middle of this phase, we're going to try and kind of review your project, grade it. I'll do a kind of a run through, grade everyone's thing, so you can kind of see what your grade will be if that was the last day of the term. So my suggestion is the first thing you do is to make sure your application is accessible, because that is bulk majority of your grade. So get your application accessible from the internet and then start customizing it to gain the other points. Okay? Because deploying your application is the most difficult part usually. All right. So hopefully by the midpoint, your project is live and it's just kind of adding in the little features as for the remainder. And then if you want more than one grading, we definitely can, and it'll boost your grade as you get more points. And then I won't deduct. So if you just continually work on your project and you've hit all the points, then you're done. So if you kind of feel like you've gained a lot of points on a bunch of features, feel free to ask me to grade again. It doesn't have to be just one mid-point grading and one final grading. Just don't try not to make me grade like 10 times. That's all I ask. Okay. So as a way, so these intermediary gradings will help you understand where you're at. Oh, sorry. Did someone say something? Okay. Okay. So by the last day, the final day, your project should be live. As much of these points, features you've added already, and I'm gonna ask for a video this term of you and your team demonstrating your product, your app. So I feel like I was on the fence about this demonstration, but I feel like it's good because every company needs to be able to sell their idea, sell their product in addition to building it. Um, the soft skills of selling is just as almost important as actually building it. Um, I see that was something that surprised me when I got to work, how important it is to kind of sell your idea, communicate and sell your idea. So I'm gonna try and ask for it this term, see how it goes, and and be sure to turn everything to Lalima at the end. Lalima will take care of you know, calculating the grades. And you can finalize your ideas and teams as soon as you want, but you don't have to wait till this date here. Again, just start early. Your grades won't go down if you ask for regrading. Just don't try to rewrite your entire app. Then have to kind of like maybe start grading from beginning again. Okay, so the main points for the project, it needs to be accessible from the internet. You can create, read, update, and delete data, known as CRUD. Do something more than what we talk about in class. Some of these things don't make sense now, but later on, maybe it's more understandable. So there are things that I won't specifically go over in class, but maybe point you to a tutorial so you can implement. Because all the code from last semester is still available, or last summer is still available, you can kind of reference their code. But I do want you to try to build something that's unique. So something like a graph or something that does some image processing, something different than what we go over in class. Something that you decide to add, or you and your team, right? So some uniqueness. I'm happy that you would collaborate with your students this term and former students from the last term, but I do want you to add something unique. Okay. Make sure everything is easy to use, with menus just aesthetically pleasing. Make sure your app kind of flows. And then your demonstration video. And then this is kind of something that I thought was, when I first learned it, I was shocked at how easy it is to do something like as important as user account. So that's super. Every web application has it. I do want you to kind of go through that and add that feature in. And then if you can, do some best practices, test coverage, documentation coverage, linting. Those are something that is good practice. We might not go over, but there is things to kind of help you do it. And then we never write things on our own, so if we can use frameworks, it'll just kind of make it easier. And again, we don't go over these other frameworks in class, so it is extra credit. And if we're to look through it, the bulk of it is just getting it live and usable. So focus on that first before you focus on these other features. Okay, any questions, comments, concerns about that before we go on to the development environment? Yeah, go for it. Ibra. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so. So you're if you're working on a team, the team's gonna develop one project. So that project would need to be different from all the other projects turned in from this course, this term, from people outside of your project, outside of your group. Does that make sense? Does that answer your question? Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So if your team's building a yeah, so some projects from last term, it was a kind of a book buying and selling marketplace. So I wouldn't want any project on this term also doing a book buying and selling marketplace, right? That's the idea. I guess the follow on is that you can definitely share code if they implemented something um, that fixes your bug. Like, yeah, go ahead, copy it, understand it, reuse it. But the general concept should be slightly different, right? Either improve upon their book buying, selling marketplace, or show something that they didn't show. Uh, yeah. Okay, so I think I'm beating the dead horse. Um, but if there's any other follow-ups, please bring it up. Cool. I'm gonna treat that as good. Okay, so the first order of business. Oh, yeah, my pleasure. So the first order of business. Um, let's go through what your assignments is. Check out the calendar, right? Check out the calendar. Make sure you don't have any like doctor's appointment, or if you do, let me know. Everything's recorded, but nothing like you're gone for on vacation for like 3 weeks or something. Let you know if you have conflicts, just let me know and we'll work it out. If it's a day, no big deal. You can rewatch the lecture recording. If it's multiple days, then let's talk about it. Then there's, we go through the polls, mark your availability so we can choose an earlier time and everyone can like start their Fridays earlier. Um, so that's kind of the first assignment. Sign up for all your accounts. There's going to be GitHub is the major one. You already have Discord, and then there's a username. So in one of these, there's a username that once you have your GitHub, you can fill out. So that just kind of helps me figure out who's who, because your username can be just whatever you want, and I'm cool with that. I just need to know who to map it to. So here, this one's gonna ask you to watch a video to kind of like how this course is laid out, what these topics are, and how they relate to each other. So that's something you'll start doing. And then this is the big one here. Set up your development environment. So there is a section here. So this section right here will kind of talk through what it is that you need to kind of set up. And I'm just going to go over it briefly here. So we need Git, and we need Docker and Docker Compose installed, and then an IDE. So you can use any one you want, but VS Code is recommended if you don't have a preference. And the LiveShare extension is helpful if you ever need help. And to use LiveShare, you need to log into your GitHub account. But if you never need help, you don't need LiveShare. Okay? So, yeah, in the video, in this class structure in assignment, excuse me, it will go over what Git and Docker is a little bit. So Git is to track your application code. Containers or Docker is to track your application environment. And between those two things, you have everything you need to kind of run an application. Okay, and also before there used to be this idea, this thing like, oh, it works on my machine, doesn't work on yours. I don't know, but if we use Git and containers, it should work on everyone's machine just the same. So those are what the intent of the getting your development machine working is. And I don't know, everyone could be using different operating systems. Linux would be easy to kind of install Git and Docker, and then if you're using a Mac, which I am, I recommend Docker for Mac. So there's that. And then if you're using on Windows, which is very popular, there's also a Docker desktop for Windows, but it doesn't show here. But here, yeah, they have instructions for every operating system. Okay. And if you're doing Windows, just be sure to get the Windows Sub Linux version 2. And here's the VS Code. Okay. So depending on your operating system, you can just download the one you need. So now let's actually show you what VS Code looks like. Can anyone see my VS Code? All right, thanks. So once you download it, you should see something like this. Here's the extensions. There's live share and there's some Docker stuff. What I would like you to be able to do is be able to use the terminal. Oh, I have to make sure my Docker is running. And so set up a development machine. Make sure you're able to run these commands and not get an error. You should get some sort of version number. So if I do git -- version, I'll get a git version, and you don't get something like bad command, right? That means git's not installed. Here I purposely mistyped it, but that's what you don't want. Nothing an error like that. So have git, have docker version, have docker compose version. And if you're able to get these versions back from the terminal, then you're good to go. If you have any sort of error, then please fix that. And if you continue having problems, please bring it up at our next meeting. So this is what Docker for Mac looks like. But there's a GUI, but there's also, you can access it from the command line or through these other extensions. So for Windows, you might have PowerShell here, but if you can get Git Bash or some sort of Linux thing, that would be helpful. Because I don't think I have the least experience using Windows. Try my best to help, but I know that when I was able to get it to work, it had PowerShell and then Git Bash or Bash. So when you open a terminal, try to use the Bash version. For my Mac, I use Z shell. Any questions, comments, concerns about that? Because that's what you'll be doing tonight, hopefully. Okay. Any questions, comments, concerns about La Lima and how to use assignments? Because this is where you'll be turning in everything. Okay. Okay, any questions, comments, concerns in general? And I know some people might be shy, so I'm gonna stop the video and ask again. But does someone have anything? Sorry, I see someone unmuted, but I don't hear anything. Okay. Sorry. Okay. Yeah, if the audio is bad, feel free to type it. I'm gonna stop the video and give anyone a chance to kind of like bring up anything without it being recorded. So, but my audio might go out, so I might have to jump back in.